I've gone over the cultural history of Final Fantasy VII's launch along with my personal reflections, so now it's time to talk about its legacy, i.e. the game's numerous spin-offs, which are most commonly referred to as the compilation of Final Fantasy VII. This project was first announced in 2003 alongside the film Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. The grouping also includes Before Crisis Final Fantasy VII, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII, and Dirge of Cerberus Final Fantasy VII. Let's begin first with their mobile outing. Before Crisis Final Fantasy VII was released in Japan on September 24, 2004 for a mobile service called FOMA. It's an action RPG starring the Turks and taking place 6 years before the events of Final Fantasy VII. As a fun fact, this is Hajime Tabata's directorial debut that is most recently known for helming Final Fantasy XV. It's the one main side piece that never made it outside of Japan, and there's not a lot of footage online either. It's not non-existent, but capturing a Japanese-only phone game from 2004 was probably not easy. However, in today's society, what with phones ruling the populations, it's not hard to imagine Square Enix re-releasing it. Personally, the Turks were always a group I wanted to know more about. It would be a nice little port. Final Fantasy VII Advent Children is next on the list, launching first in Japan in 2005, and a year later in North America and Europe. It's the project most people are probably familiar with, as watching a film is a lot easier and faster than playing an entire game. I remember trying to load a 2-minute trailer online through dial-up that took almost an hour. When it finally came out, I recall liking it faults and all, plus it had some sentimental value behind it. My girlfriend at the time bought it as a gift and drove it all the way to school to give it to me during my journalism class. After rewatching it now, though, well, it's pretty bad on a lot of levels. First of all, I will say the CG holds up relatively well, along with the remixed soundtrack, but that's all the praise I can muster. The first half is dull, filled with familiar, unfamiliar characters that seem to have been replaced with emotionless dolls, and the new characters aren't any better. Sephiroth's 3 clones are crybabies, Cloud is a brooding mess, Tifa is a quiet mouse, Reno and Rude got turned into comic relief, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's as if the events of Final Fantasy VII didn't happen. The other half is all action, which to some degree is enjoyable, but is also exhausting. We finally see the main party rejoin briefly before Cloud has 3 consecutive fights afterward by himself. It's like someone made this based off of the first trailer for Final Fantasy VII and had no idea what the game was even about. Again, like the events before it never even happened. There have been altering editions of Final Fantasy VII Advent Children over the years on both DVD and Blu-ray, including a set of short stories depicting what characters were up to before the film. There was also an anime short called Last Order Final Fantasy VII depicting the events of Sephiroth going crazy in Nibelheim, plus an extended edition with 30 minutes of extra footage of the main film. Altogether, none of these extras made the movie more enjoyable. Washing that bad taste out of my mouth, let's tackle Dirge of Cerberus Final Fantasy VII, which launched in Japan, North America, Europe, and Australia in 2006 for the PS2. It's a third-person shooter RPG in the realm of Devil May Cry that stars Vincent Valentine 3 years after the original, so a year after Advent Children Final Fantasy VII, with a new organization, Deep Ground, out to destroy the planet. Other characters make an appearance such as Reeve, Kate Sith, and Yuffie, but Vincent is the key star here. There was an online multiplayer for the game only in Japan, which introduces more backstory to Deep Ground, along with a mobile tie-in game called Dirge of Cerberus Lost Episode Final Fantasy VII, which takes place in between a set of the main game's missions. As for the game itself, it's messy, but okay. Except for some clunky controls, the game is pretty good, long-winded and melodramatic story aside. It has its moments, including the in-game cutscenes, which still look pretty great for a PS2 game. Now I've saved the best for last with Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII, which released in Japan in 2007, and a year later in North America, Europe, and Australia on PSP. It begins 7 years before Final Fantasy VII, with events from Before Crisis Final Fantasy VII intertwining, starring Zack Fair and his rise to power and Soldier, all leading up to his death. It's a hack-and-slash action RPG with mechanics more in line with Kingdom Hearts, mixed with some elements from Final Fantasy VII, including materia. As a fun fact, Tabata also directed it. As the last entry in the compilation, I think the team was well aware of the past mistakes, so this was one last-ditch effort to make something remarkable, and it worked. Zack is a very relatable and likable protagonist. The story fills in gaps in the main story, along with introducing new strings to flesh things out. The new and remixed soundtrack is great, missions are fairly short, making good use out of the portability of the PSP, and action is equally well adjusted for it. Plus, even though I knew it was coming, Zack's death was gut-wrenching, badass, and way more iconic than Aerith dying. Yes, I know. Come at me, internet. Anyway, despite the mixed range of these games, I wish Square Enix would make a collection of them on PS4, sort of like how they're combining all of the Kingdom Hearts games, which includes portables from other systems, so it's not out of the range of possibilities. It'd be a great way to celebrate the game's 20th anniversary. That remake sure as heck isn't coming anytime soon, although a demo bundled in this collection would sweeten the deal. I'd even settle for an anime recapping the original based on my impressions with Final Fantasy XV Brotherhood, which I thought was pretty good. Anything would be great in celebration of my favorite Final Fantasy. And that's really all I have to say on Final Fantasy VII. So again, happy 20th anniversary, and I'll see you all next time. Did you know that was a ReActionExaminer video? If you liked it, you should subscribe to me to keep up with everything that I'm doing. Also, if you have some other interests, like sex for example, check out Spinoffs, which is a comedy sex podcast thing wherein my best friend and I check out the weird and abnormal and the erotic. And of course, you should support me on Patreon because, hey, I want to make the channel better and I want your help to do so. Plus, if you want to check out my writing, check out Game Jerk, where I have archives and new stuff for all projects, okay? You can find all the stuff and more in the description with the links below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all next time.